listeners, if you like poker and think you have what it takes to play it cooperatively with limited communication, then you might want to check out The Gang. Let's take a look at how it plays. In this game, players are trying to successfully complete heists by playing poker cooperatively together. They'll start out with 2 pocket cards in hand, and they will be trying to communicate to the other players how good they think their hand is by taking the different colored poker chips that are in the center of the table. It starts out with the white ones up to the red ones. The red ones are the ones that are the most important in putting yourselves in the correct order in order to successfully complete the heist. So if I start out the pre-flop with these 2 cards in my hand, I might be feeling pretty good about having 2 hearts, might be able to get a flush, hopefully. So maybe I'll take the 4 in a 4-player game, and I'll say, you know, I'm not saying anything, I'm just taking that 4, and that's communicating to others. I have a really good hand. I have a good start-out hand. Then for the flop, 3 cards will come out into the center, and players again will now move on to the yellow chips and take those depending on how good they think their hand has gotten, or maybe if it has drastically dipped. So now I don't really have a lot going for me. I don't have any pairs, no more hearts came out, so I might not be feeling as good about my hand, so I might take a lower chip. Then round 3, the turn, 1 more card comes out, and finally in round 4, the river, again, yet another card comes out. So again, I might be feeling not amazing because I ended up with just a pair as basically my best hand. So not amazing, but depending on how other players are grabbing those chips and how it seems, how confident they seem in how good of a hand they have, players will kind of take those chips back and forth until finally you've resolved that you think you have yourselves in the correct order, and then you'll reveal hands from the lowest to the highest to determine if you've put yourselves in the correct order. Failing to do so will set off an alarm, and if you set off 3 alarms, then you will have lost the game. But if you successfully put yourselves in the correct order, then you will be able to complete the heist and flip over a vault card. Players can also add in various other additions like specialists and challenge cards after they get more familiar with the game, which will make things harder or easier depending on if they are succeeding. And there are other variant ways to play more advanced modes where you're taking out one of the alarm cards or adding in joker cards to the deck, things of that nature, depending on how good you are at playing cooperative poker. I thought this game was a little bit weird. I'm not a big poker player, to be honest. Having knowledge of the different kinds of hands in poker is definitely helpful, but you definitely don't need to know them in order to play this game, which I do like. The reference card that has all the different hands and how they rank is very helpful. But I thought if you liked poker, it would be a really weird twist on the original, and you might still like it, but it does remove all of that element of bluffing and trying to like one-up opponents and betting to see if you can get other players to drop out. It doesn't have any of that, so if you like that element of poker, then you might not like this, but if you just like doing having the best poker hand or like trying to see how good of a hand that you could make, and you don't really care about having the best hand, then this is kind of cool because you are just trying to rank your hand against others without it mattering who has the highest or the best hand. I think that I probably wouldn't ever play without those specialists and challenge cards. I thought that they added a lot to the experience, so if you are kind of doing not so great, you have a little bit of extra help, but if you are kind of running away with it, just whether by luck or by just really being able to communicate what you have, it does kind of reset to give you a little bit more challenge. It is a very difficult game. It's hard to communicate what you have in your hand without being able to say really anything other than I'm taking the 4 because I think I have the best hand, and that's really what you're communicating by doing that. So it is really hard to say like why you think you have the best hand, or of course you're not able to say what's in your hand at all because that would defeat the purpose. The game definitely gets harder the more players that you have. I think at 3, sometimes you might even just luck into getting yourselves in the right order if you are kind of teetering between like, oh, should I take the 2 or the 3 chip? Whereas at 6, it's way harder to get everybody in exactly that right order because a lot of the hands are going to be very close. So you can keep that in mind when you're choosing how many people to play with. But again, it was a kind of interesting take on poker as a game. So if you like card games that you play cooperatively, you might want to check it out. You can see my full thoughts on the blog today to decide if this one's for you.